If you ever thought your bad roommate was creepy, imagine living a decade with someone who stalks you relentlessly. Welcome to Stalking Samantha, 13 Years of Terror. This Hulu docuseries is so packed with suspense, twists, and unexpected heroism, it'll make you question who's watching you. Spoiler alert, it's not just your Netflix recommendations.s. Let's dive in. Let's rewind to 2011, when college life was all about surviving off ramen noodles, late-night cramming sessions, and trying to look like you had it all together when in reality, you barely knew what syllabus week meant. Enter Samantha Stites, a fresh-faced college freshman at Grand Valley State University in Michigan. Like most of us, she was hoping to make a few new friends, maybe join a student group or two, and navigate the minefield of dorm life. Then she meets Christopher Thomas at a Christian student group. He seems friendly enough, nothing unusual, right? But that's when things take a bizarre turn. What begins with, "Hey, we should study together sometime," quickly escalates to, "I'm going to track your every move for the next 13 years. And I mean, literally track her every move, like GPS-level obsession. Samantha, thinking she just met someone with an overzealous interest in studying, had no clue that this innocent acquaintance would quickly evolve into a one-man stalker operation. Thomas started showing up uninvited at her workplace, texting her at all hours of the night, and creeping around her personal life like a shadow that refused to be shaken off. For Samantha, what seemed like the beginning of a friendship was actually the opening act of a nightmare. But don't worry, this story doesn't end with a creepy ghosting. Oh no, Samantha wasn't going to just roll over and let this turn into a rom-com gone wrong. She'd soon show everyone that surviving this level of harassment would take more than a polite, "Please stop," the escalation. Now, let's talk about those "hey, it's been a while" messages that you get from people you really don't remember. The ones that make you think, wait, do I even know this person? Or did they just Facebook friend request me while under the influence of an excessive amount of coffee? Samantha wasn't just dealing with these types of awkward online encounters, though. No, Christopher Thomas wasn't content with sliding into her DMs. He decided to show up uninvited at her job, text her at 3 a.m., and because why not even GPS track her movements? Imagine your worst-case scenario. You go to work, and there's your stalker lurking in the background like a horror movie extra. Not only was Thomas in Samantha's inbox at all hours, but his obsessive behavior intensified to a point where it was clear this wasn't a bad date scenario. This was full-blown terror. Samantha tried to maintain her sense of normalcy, but each interaction with Thomas chipped away at her peace of mind. It's one thing to have a Facebook notification pop up. It's quite another to realize that someone is watching you every step of the way. By 2014, after far too many uncomfortable confrontations, Samantha decided to take action. She sought a personal protection order against Thomas, thinking that a simple legal barrier would put an end to this horror. She thought, great, I've got a piece of paper to protect me. But, spoiler alert, PPOs don't come with force field. In fact, they're about as effective as that "do not disturb" sign you hang on your door when you're expecting unexpected visitors. The legal red tape that followed proved to be even more terrifying than the stalker himself. When Samantha's PPO expired in 2020, she found herself stuck in a bureaucratic maze where no one seemed to care about her safety. If you've ever been stuck in the unholy mess that is bureaucracy, you know it's scarier than any slasher flick. For Samantha, it meant that her stalker was about to escalate things further. The kidnapping. And then bam! Here comes a plot twist you didn't see coming. After more than a decade of stalking, following, and generally being a total creep, Christopher Thomas decided that the classic stalker approach needed a fresh twist. In October 2022, he kidnapped Samantha because, of course, a soundproof bunker was his next big DIY project. If you ever find yourself thinking, hey, I should totally turn my basement into a little hideaway, maybe pump the brakes on that idea, because it could end up being your worst nightmare. So, there Samantha was locked in a soundproof bunker with nothing but her wits and a terrifying captor for company. It wasn't quite the cozy getaway vibe Thomas had probably envisioned. It was more like the world's worst dinner party. Think about it, 14 hours of captivity, with a guy who spent the entire time being uncomfortably obsessed and, well, creepy. But Samantha, She wasn't about to let this be the end of her story. Using every ounce of her intelligence and charm, she kept Thomas talking, slowly working her way toward convincing him to let her go. Eventually, after what felt like a lifetime, she managed to escape the clutches of her captor. What did she do next? Well, what any sane person would do after escaping a soundproof bunker. She called the police and said, "Yeah, he's going to prison now." Cue the dramatic music, because this is when the real story begins. Courtroom surprises, plea deals, and a stalker's fate. After her escape, Samantha could have decided to live the rest of her life off the grid, taking up knitting, maybe getting a pet llama, and avoiding any and all legal drama. But nope, she wasn't done yet. Samantha wasn't just a victim of stalking. She was about to become an agent of change. Christopher Thomas learned the hard way that kidnapping wasn't as fun as he thought. He ended up pleading guilty to kidnapping, aggravated stalking, and a few other charges. He received a hefty sentence of 40 to 60 years in prison. And for the folks wondering about the sexual assault charges, those were dropped in a plea deal. That's right, folks. Plea deals in the real world aren't nearly as glamorous as the ones you see in movies. But here's where it gets interesting. Samantha's case exposed a massive flaw in the legal system. Turns out, getting a protection order isn't as simple as ordering a pizza. There were loopholes, delays, and hurdles that allowed her stalker to slip through the cracks until things escalated to the point of kidnapping. Samantha's experience highlighted how broken the system could be when it came to stalking cases. Who knew that the real horror was hidden in the bureaucracy, advocacy, and reform? Most people who go through something as traumatic as Samantha would probably just go on a permanent vacation, maybe learn to play the ukulele and never speak of it again. But not Samantha. She wasn't just looking for peace, she was looking to make a change. So, she co-founded Beekeepers Advocacy, an organization dedicated to supporting victims of stalking and abuse. Its mission? To ensure that no one else had to endure what she went through. And as a bonus, they aimed to fix the very system that had failed her. But Samantha didn't stop there. She didn't just sit back and relax while her stalker was behind bars. She used her experience to lobby for reform in Michigan's legal system, pushing for courts to revamp their process for assessing PPOs. Looks like stalking just became a lot less fun for the criminals out there. In fact, after her advocacy, courts began to take stalking cases more seriously, and the legal procedures started to evolve to better protect victims. Samantha took what could have been a lifetime of fear and turned it into a force for change. She didn't just survive, she became a voice for those who were too scared to speak. And that's something that not even a decade of terror could take away from her. Don't let your stalker be your worst story. If you're still sitting there thinking, wow, this story is insane, that's because it is. But here's the thing. Samantha's journey is proof that even in the darkest situations, there's room for hope, change, and even a bit of humor. She went from being stalked to being the driving force behind real legal change. So, the next time someone starts making you feel uncomfortable, don't wait for 13 years to go by. Call it out. Take control. By the end of Stalking Samantha, 13 years of terror, Samantha's story is about more than just surviving, it's about thriving in the face of unimaginable adversity. Her journey shows that no matter how terrifying or obsessive a stalker may be, you don't have to let them control your life. Samantha's resilience and advocacy remind us that the true villains are often those who believe they can dominate others, and that we all have the strength to fight back, reclaim our lives, and share our own stories. If you found this video Samantha's story as powerful and eye-opening as we did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true crime stories, survival tales, and life-changing insights. Don't forget to drop a comment below what part of Samantha's journey inspired you the most. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay safe, stay strong, and remember, your story matters. Until next time.